Welcome back to another episode of the Brawn Body Health and Fitness Podcast. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. Today, I'm joined by Lauren Madalian and Brendan Todd. Now, I gotta warn you, these two are no strangers to the podcast. They've been on 2 episodes each in the past, a little over a year ago from today. So if you haven't yet, make sure you check out those episodes in addition to this one. Today, we're discussing health and fitness in a relationship, and honestly, I can't think of a better combo to discuss this with because these two are probably the strongest couple, at least physically, that I know. Before we get to this amazing episode full of all kinds of valuable insight and wisdom and maybe a little bit of humor, here's a quick word from one of our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by CTM Band and CTM Recovery Products. These are the exact soft tissue recovery tools that I'm using on myself and with my patients day in and day out. CTM Band was founded by Dr. Kyle Bowling, a sports medicine practitioner who treats professional athletes, and he was a former guest on the Brawn Body Health and Fitness Podcast. You can check out his website at the link below and use the coupon code BRAWN10 to save 10% off your order from CTM Band. Brendan, Lauren, welcome to the podcast. Really excited to have you both on today.
Thank you for having us back.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been forever since I had you before. Loved having you on before. For people who didn't listen to those episodes we recorded about a year ago, would you mind kind of refreshing our memory as to who the two of you are?
This is Brendan, Brendan Todd. I'm Tank Strength on Instagram. I'm just pursuing my powerlifting career. I'll put it like that. I've been lifting since I was about 13. The last about 3-4 years, I've been really focusing on the powerlifting route. Right now, I'm sitting at like a 1,900 pound total, with that going up this year. And I also dabble a little bit in strongman, which was fun. My one competition.
And then I'm Lauren Madalian. I'm heading off to about to graduate from Westchester University. I was a 4-year collegiate athlete on the women's rugby team. I won 1 national title. I got runners up last fall, and I also dabble in powerlifting.
That's awesome. The two of you are really a power couple, I'll say, for lack of a better way to put it. I'm curious, how did the two of you meet? Like, how did the two of you cross paths, and how did this whole thing begin?
So actually, it's funny. In middle school, so we live right down the road from each other back in New Jersey, and he lives maybe 5 minutes away from me. And we were on the same bus together. And I wasn't too familiar with him. He was a quieter guy and he was new to me.
She didn't remember me at all. And I sat right in front of her. I sat right in front of her all of 8th grade, and she didn't remember that at all. And then we started talking again in high school. I'll let you take it back.
Yeah, so basically he was a quieter guy. I didn't really know him, but he said that he had a crush on me low-key back in the day. So and then senior year of high school, we had mutual friends, and then we started talking. And then the rest is history.
So how did the whole fitness thing and powerlifting get involved in your relationship? Was Brendan, or I guess I should say Tank, the one who brought that in, or was that Lauren? Or
Lauren was always like into athletics, sports, and then when I met her, she was kind of like doing CrossFit and stuff. And I'm just like very, very passionate about what I do, almost like I'm a little nutty about it. So, and then I started programming for her and just like taking her to the gym, showing her a few things. She fell in love with lifting too. So
yeah, I think to date him, you have to like what he does because he is so passionate about it and he's so driven that not saying that because he was so into it, I had to get into it. I personally do love it. But in order for this relationship to work, I think I had to see where his mindset's coming from. And the only way to do that was to kind of engulf myself in the realm that he's more focused on. And now I'm able to say I'm successful-ish with powerlifting. I hope to get better one day.
And I mean, huge fist bump to Brendan there for converting someone away from CrossFit, right? I almost never hear stories like that. That's amazing.
The one CrossFit thing I ever did was the Murph, which she had me do. And this was like post 3 knee operations. And was it a year later? Yeah, about a year later. was the first time I ran in a while, and you had to run 2 miles. And I was like, oh, great idea. I'll throw the 20-pound vest on because this is how you're supposed to do it. I walked most of the mile, most of the 2 miles, but other than that, it was fine.
How would you say your kind of similar passion at this point for powerlifting and the gym and working out has kind of impacted your relationship over time? Do you feel like that's made the two of you stronger or grown closer together, that sort of thing?
Like in the beginning, I was kind of very clear in high school. I was like, this is like what I do. This is what I like. I'm going to meal prep. I'm going to prioritize the gym over like a lot of things in my life. I'm very competitive. This is what I want. And I told her that in the beginning, and she said, okay. And then, and I could also see from her athletic standpoint, I mean, she's playing collegiate rugby and she won a national championship as the MVP. So she understands kind of like that competitive attitude. I think as far as growing to stronger together, I would say that's more of like outside the gym, but like the way we match up, my lifestyle and her lifestyle, that allows us to like connect, right? So if I was very this one way and she was not that way at all, I don't think there would be any connection there. It would be hard to like, kind of feel each other out and like move on with the relationship from there. I don't know. What do you think?
In the beginnings, like he said, he made it very clear what his intentions were, like his life goals, and his life goals are very consistent on like powerlifting and his fitness like obligations. So right in the beginning, I knew what I was kind of getting myself into, but I also kind of didn't know what I was getting myself into. So in the beginning, it was kind of, I feel like it was more difficult, at least for me, because I'm passionate and I'm driven, but not as laser focused as Brendan is. So that was kind of a big barrier I had to get over the first like year or so. But now at this point, I know what he wants in his life, and I'm there to support him, but I'm also there to accomplish my own goals. So.
Right. And what were your own goals at the time? You were playing college rugby at that point, I think, correct?
Yeah, so we met senior year of high school, second half. So I was committing to Westchester, and because I was a smaller person, I'm like, my stature is 5'2" and I weigh around 130 pounds. And in rugby, there's some bigger girls out there, and I knew coming in as a freshman, I didn't want to be that small, skinny girl. So that's when I started to take on more like heavier lifting rather than CrossFit style. So that's why how Brendan, when he was coaching me coming into freshman year of rugby, helped me a lot, because I was able to get my squat, my bench, and my deadlift up significantly more than the teammates I was playing with.
Right. So working with Brendan helped you become a better rugby player, I'll say, in a way. So it not only helped you with your goal, but it helped him with his goal too. And look at that, you both benefited.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm curious, do you have, like, for all the people out there who are, navigating relationships, but they're trying to balance like the whole relationship with fitness thing, and they're just trying to figure that out, what advice do you have for people like that?
I would say that I see a lot of people online trying to romanticize the whole thing. This may be not the hot take, but I think you need to put your relationship separate to your fitness goals, depending on what your fitness goals are. So like where Brendan's at, he has some like lifelong goals, and I guess I do too, but not to the extent as him. So if I brought my relationship into the gym, it just doesn't correspond. And in the beginning, I kind of had problems with that, because I wanted to talk to Brendan, be like, oh, how did this look? And he's like, this is my workout time. That's all you have, So I definitely understand that now. And I'm kind of the same way. I don't like to talk to people in the gym. I'm there for a reason, and then I leave. So I say, don't romanticize the whole in the gym, you guys are going to do cute couple workouts, unless that's how you want to be. But if you're a more intense athlete and you're working for a goal, you guys could work out in the gym together, but it's not going to be like you guys are going to do push-ups and like kiss at the top and not weird stuff like that.
I laugh because I've seen that far too often lately.
I know.
And that, and like the partner med ball workouts, or there was one where they were doing like, one of them was like on the ground and the other one was like standing over top of them, and they were like throwing their legs down and they had to like eccentrically control it. But I'm
Yeah.
just looking at that positioning. One of them is like directly underneath the other. The other's like standing directly on top of them. And personally, that's not what I would want to. That's not where I'd want to be at the end of a sweaty workout. Personally,
Yeah.
maybe people are into that thing. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Gym and like relationships, like again, I would kind of go back to like, I would feel like you're like prioritizing like what you want. So if you're going into this and you're like, I guess this would really only apply to someone who's very like, I guess in a competitive mindset. Like if you have these goals that you want to hit and that's like on top of your list of priorities, then you just have to be real with that and you have to let the other person know that too. But if you kind of come in and you're like, and the other person, same thing, is just kind of add to, like, you just go in 3 days a week to go work out and go home, then you're going to have a different relationship than someone who's like, this is like what they do. Like, this is like, you know, this is their practice, right? I'm not going to go to a rugby practice and like act like a fool. Same thing. I'm not going to go to the gym and act like a fool when I'm doing it. I guess it really comes down to finding someone who like kind of understands, you know, what you expect, and you kind of have to know what you're going for yourself, right?
Right. But you mean to tell me you didn't show up to every, rugby practice and cheer her on and like wear her jersey and everything like that?
No.
That the high school ship sailed, right? But,
Yeah.
that's funny. But no, I completely agree. I think it comes back to transparency and communication. You have to make aware what you want, and you have to like be clear about that from the start. And if you communicate those intentions of like, look, I'm going to the gym, this is my time, cool, we can like, be there together, I'll spot you, whatever. But like, headphones are going in, hoods going up, and the world is just getting locked out for like 2 hours or something like that. And I think that's the kind of thing that when you're both in there at the same time, you're in the same space, same mindset, and you're working on improving yourselves, but you also have that competitive edge that you mentioned before. Like you just look over and you see your person grinding away on like, bench or deadlift or whatever it is. Like that's the kind of thing that motivates you yourself to get better and dig a little deeper and push a little bit harder, instead of, just looking off into the space and being like, oh yeah, that's a cool like poster or Arnold Schwarzenegger on the wall of the gym or something like that. Like it's a lot more relatable of a motivational piece, I'll say.
When she wakes up at 4 a.m., and I know you do this too, wakes up at 4 a.m. to go train, and then like I train later in the day in the afternoon, I'm like kind of dragging ass. I'm like, Lauren was up at 4 a.m. and she like killed it. Like, what are you doing here? So a lot of motivation.
And I'm sure that motivation carries over into meal prep as well, correct?
Yeah. It's just hard because he's 6 foot and 250 pounds, and he just wants to get bigger and bigger. And I'm a shorter girl and don't want to get so huge. So it's kind of hard when he's constantly bulking. And I'm not saying I want to cut all the time, but I don't want to get 200 pounds as a 5 foot girl. So it's kind of hard in the meal prep sense because Brendan's always eating, and I'm just like, well, Brendan's eating 2 desserts, maybe I could eat 2 desserts. So that part I kind of struggle with, but that's something I'm learning.
That's one thing I would say is a little different from like powerlifting and like bodybuilding, or like if you're like very fitness health related. Like my nutrition, and same with her, our nutrition is pretty good, but it's like not, I still eat a ton of crap. Ice cream, I'll drink Gatorades, and I have all that. I have my main meals that are all pretty clean, and then I have extra calories on top of that because I'm just trying to put more and more food in. So in terms of something like, and I'm also, like she said, always trying to kind of put on mass. So in terms of like going out to eat, it's pretty easy because I just get whatever it is and more meat. But I could see how something like, if like for her, if she's trying to cut down, or if someone who's like doing a bodybuilding show and they have to like restrict their diet a lot, and their partner is just eating everything they want to eat in front of the face, I can see how that could be hard.
For sure. Man, I would hate to see the bill when you go to Chipotle, man. But no, I think that brings up a great point. It's that like you are both in similar like missions and goals, but different paths to get there. Like you're both concerned about your fitness, your competitive edge, but you're not in it for the same thing. Like one of you is in it to get as big, as strong as possible. And like, I'm willing to bet, Brendan, that you could care less about showing up to the beach with an 8-pack this summer or not. You just want to be the biggest guy on the beach and stand out in the family photo, right? So I like that you're able to balance the kind of similar direction that you're both on with a like difference in that you're going to do it the way you each need.
Yeah, that also correlates into the gym as well. Like in the way that Brendan looks at the gym and how he like correlates it with his life. I feel like recently, like after collegiate rugby, which is now the next 2 weeks and I'm done, I really had no other goals like within the gym. But now that I do, like we just moved in recently, so I see him every day. I see what he's doing and I see like what his goals are pertaining to daily. So I see myself be like, oh, maybe one day I could also be this really strong powerlifter. Maybe I could be competitive with it just like he is. So in the sense of not just like meal prepping, but also in the gym and also creating lifetime goals, I could see like a correlation there.
I also think it's funny that Brendan brought up the ice cream because that's something I've heard about from other power lifters in the past. So there must be some kind of magic to the Ben and Jerry's that I'm not on myself.
Well, I don't eat too much. It's just easy to eat. Like if you eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's, it's like easily 1,000 calories. So think of like this: you hit your. I try to get a gram of protein. Per pound, I try to get a gram of protein for that, and the protein I'm trying to prioritize is like meat and animal protein. So it's like 250 grams of either dairy, beef, chicken, something like that. And then stuff I get from rice, peanut butter, whatever else, fruits, vegetables. I just add that on top. So then I eat a ton of carbs and a ton of fat, and at the end of the night, maybe I'm only at 4,000 calories. I can eat another 1,000 calories of Ben and Jerry's, and then I'm fine. Hit my 5,000 calories and hit all my macros.
But you mean to tell me you're not a plant burger Beyond Meat guy?
No, and I know you aren't either. In college, I did like a little bit of a research study, kind of going into how that all is. In my opinion, well, it's all BS. It's all BS.
I completely agree with. No, I think whatever you're doing, it's clearly working. If you're like, what is it, like benching like 500, squatting 672, and what's your deadlift, like 700?
727 I just got.
So your deadlift is more than I can bench and squat together. That's insane. So outside of the gym, do the two of you have other like similar interests outside of the gym, competition, powerlifting, sport, that sort of thing?
Similar interests. I guess not. I don't.
I love the pause here. It's like, well, yeah, we got the gym and we got food and the gym, and that's about it.
Our day does consist of, so like he'll work all day, I'll work all day. We'll end up going to the gym. We usually don't go to the gym together unless it's on the weekend. And if Tom's not, or Brendan's not going to the gym, he's eating or cooking. So when he's eating or cooking, maybe I'll put on a show or something. So like we like to watch shows, but we also like to go outside, and Brendan likes his bow.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a very important thing, is to have hobbies that are not like together.
Yeah.
Right. I like, I'm trying to get into bow hunting. I want to go hunting this year. I'm very into certain books. I'm trying to get my strength and conditioning coach certification. So there's a lot of, books and things like that. I like, sometimes I like to go out with friends, go bowling. She hates bowling. So, things like that. There, a lot of my life revolves, I would say our lives revolve around, the lifestyle that we've created. But other than that, yeah, say about that. I would say most of our hobbies outside of that are separate, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's funny that you're into bowling, though, Brendan. Of all the sports you'd be into, that was the last thing I was expecting.
Here's the thing. I'll go and bowl with someone. Lauren will not go do that. That's right. It's not like, oh my God, this is the funnest thing ever. But
Yeah.
At least I'll go and do it.
Now, do you have to bring like your own 30-pound ball, or how does it work for you?
I just take a dumbbell and I just roll it down.
That wouldn't surprise me in the least. I think you brought up a great point there. Now, again, this is the guy who hasn't really had I'll say as successful of a fitness related relationship as the two of you talking. So take it with a grain of salt. But I'm willing to bet that, everything you just said is spot on, that you have to have other hobbies together besides the gym. You can't just wake up, work out, eat, sleep, work, and that's your day. You have to have things that you can also do together, but also do separate to kind of balance all that out. And I think it's important to have that alone time. Like you said, you don't always work out every single day together. You're not always doing the same partner cliche type workouts. Sometimes you're doing your own thing. You each have very set goals in life, and you're helping each other work towards achieving them, instead of kind of like limiting each other to, well, this is what we can do together.
Yeah, I think that was a good point that you made about how, even though like we are a couple, it's very important to have our alone time. We've been together for like 4.5 years, and we recently moved in together, like what I said. So we see each other a lot, and I think if we were all the time just, oh, I love to do this, let's go on a walk together, oh, let's do this, that, and the third, I feel like, not that we get tired of each other, but it just wouldn't work out as much as it does. Like, I definitely need my alone time, he definitely needs his alone time, and we both understand that. We don't get mad at each other like, oh, you want to go bowling with your friends instead of staying at home with me, then fine. No, like we kind of understand what we both need, and we let that happen in order for a relationship to work as well as it has been thus far.
I'll say too, I think it's great that you each have a life outside of the gym. Like a lot of people, like at least on Instagram, it seems like the gym is their eat, sleep, breathe, ride or die. And I think it's important to take that stuff seriously, but you can't like only live for the gym. Like you have to do other things in life, because there's a life outside of the walls of the gym.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know, he has been doing what he's been doing for a very long time, but at least in sports, like I did soccer very competitively all through high school, and I thought I was going to play it in college, and I just got burnt out because that's what I was doing, eat, sleeping, playing soccer. So I was like, oh, I need to find something else. I found rugby. Now I'm almost 6 years into rugby, and I'm all it has been is eat, sleep, play rugby. Now I'm kind of burnt out of that, so now I'm like, oh, why don't I pick up powerlifting? So I kind of need to find like a happy medium. Like when I do find something, I want to put my all into it, and I seem to, after like 4, 5, 6 years, I kind of get burnt out of it. So I think it is very important to have a life outside of the gym or outside of what you're pursuing. I mean, he may not agree.
Outside, yeah, I agree. Even like I said, I have these particular goals, but even in my own head, there's like almost a battle back and forth between the value I put towards that, and it kind of more of a personal level and versus not. Basically, all that means is like, yeah, right. So maybe you spend 2 hours in the gym training, but there's the other 22 hours of the day. So I also think if you're just like when I was younger, like lift, like let me research how big I can get, how blah 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 blah. Let me do my own program. Let me try doing this with her program. Like you're overthinking about it, and sometimes you just get burnt out by the time you go train. So that's why I got a coach, even though I can coach other people, and I got myself a coach. I coached myself for a very long time. Got myself a coach. I've been coaching her kind of on and off, and she's had other coaches before. Same thing. It's just like you want to be able to take a lot of thought away from the process that you're putting towards it, right? And then as far as like the lifestyle goes, like that's just how I've always been for like since high school, was just like scheduled meal times, and this is kind of how you eat. And I'm not super crazy with it, as I think other people are, but like that's just normal for me. Like it's very normal to eat 5 times a day. So
now, is there any room in that diet for alcohol or a night out on the town or that sort of thing, or are you a dry kind of guy?
I'm very, very dry. I've never had an alcohol. I've had sips of alcohol, but I've never had an alcoholic drink. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't do any other types of drugs. I drink black coffee. That's the most druggy thing.
You live a wild life, my friend. Wow.
I know. That kind of goes a little bit towards my mindset. Like I know this research and everything like that, like for instance, marijuana and like alcohol, there isn't like a lot of research saying that's like going to destroy your progress. But in my head, I'm thinking that's just one extra step I have in all you other MFers out there. It's just like you might spend a Friday night and you go out there and have your fun and whatnot, but you're not able to train as effective on Saturday morning like I am.
In the sense where he's talking about like partying lifestyle, that's something I really took from him. I was never party heavy, but before meeting him, I was, let's go out with the girls. I don't mind taking a drink or two. But ever since meeting him, and not that he forces it upon me at all, he's like, if you want to do whatever the heck you want, I'm just not going to partake in it. And just from seeing like what he does like from day to day, I've also realized that doesn't have to be a part of my lifestyle. I'll maybe drink once, twice a year for like really big occasions, but that's really about it. I'm not really huge on the whole party scene, going out with my friends, staying up super late, because I know the next morning it's going to affect my training, or especially if I'm going to wake up super early the next morning. If I go to bed super late, then I know that I'm not going to want to wake up that early, or I'm not going to have the best training session.
I mean, training aside, not to get too down the rabbit hole in partying lifestyle and athletics, training aside, like, she plays on a very competitive team, but sometimes these girls will be out, they'll play a whole game, and then they stay out Saturday nights, and then by the time Sunday rolls around, they're just like in bed with a hangover, and they kind of recover. They're like delaying their recovery until Monday when they have practice. Well, maybe if you went to bed a little early or didn't have as many drinks, you're able to wake up Sunday, refreshed and ready to go. Then you could get a training session. Like you could just be like a little bit more ahead without, going too hard all the time.
And you have to remember too that while you're out there partying and horsing around, not saying never do it, but someone else is out there working hard and being smart about their life, trying to take you down with whatever you're doing. So if you're not pushing yourself to that highest level, if you don't go to the max, don't expect to get the max out of what you're doing.
Very true.
Very true.
So you didn't just save her from CrossFit, you also saved her from the college party scene.
Oh
that's pretty impressive as well.
Because I would put it that way.
Well, I was going to say, I may have been to one or two, not many, but maybe one or two across 6-7 years at college. That sounds very lame when I say it like that. But let me tell you, you're not missing anything. Nothing at all.
I'll still go out and hang out with people. I just don't drink. So like I said, it's different than I would assume someone with a with a bodybuilding, especially because your diet's so damn important, background is I would assume it's a little different when you're in prep mode. But as a powerlifter who's just trying to gain weight, it's a little bit more chillax. I can go out a little bit as long as I know I can get my sleep the next day, and kind of go from there.
Lauren, Brendan, this has been an amazing episode talking about fitness and how it plays into both your relationship and how it impacts other people's relationships as well. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts, closing remarks, or any kind of advice for the other people listening who might be in similar or somewhat comparable situations to you?
I think it's very important to know who you are yourself. And sometimes I would say, I was having this conversation with Lauren, I grew up 18 to now I'm 22. My first adult years, I've been in a steady relationship, which has helped in many ways. And then in other ways, I don't know who I am without someone, which is not a problem, but you kind of have to figure out who you are and figure that out with someone else too. And you're going to be able to make have a better relationship. But if you're trying to figure out who you are without the person that you're in a relationship are, that's not going to go well. And if you're not if you're not even trying to figure out who you are at all while you're developing this relationship, I feel like something down the road could happen.
I would say that I know a lot of my friends who are single and who are also into the fitness lifestyle. They're looking for a partner who is fitness oriented, but like what I said before, I wouldn't romanticize it so much. I would see what they prioritize and what their goals are outside of the gym to see what type of person they are, because many times you'll find these fitness inspiration or inspo guys who don't really have the same I don't know mindset as you would. So I think to don't romanticize being in the gym with your partner and kind of see what else is on the outer court of them.
I love that advice. And I'll say too, it also makes for very awkward situations if you do go down that road and, go to the gym with your partner or whatever that way, and then things don't go as planned. It makes for awkward situations when you're, in the gym at the same time with your ex-girlfriend. Not speaking from experience or anything there, but just figured I'd throw that out there.
Sounds relatable.
I have seen that.
Yeah, we've seen that happen.
For people who want to find out more about the two of you, where can they find you on Instagram and that sort of thing?
Instagram would be @tankstrength. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can email me at tankstrengthcoaching@gmail.com.
And then my Instagram is Little Lauren Lifts, like LIL.
That's not your rapper name then.
No, I've gotten that before though.
Well, Lauren, Brendan, really appreciate your time and for coming on and sharing all about your healthy and fit relationship and what the rest of us need to, well, hopefully one day achieve.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Brawn Body Health and Fitness Podcast. If you like this episode, please make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and share this episode with a friend who you think would enjoy hearing it. Additionally, if you want to help support this podcast and keep future episodes going, please check out our links below where you can support us directly or through engaging in any of our affiliate marketing links. Last, please make sure you check us out on social media at Brawn Body and leave a 5-star review, especially if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify.